to staff assignment file. The staff assignment file is used to reflect a staff member's responsibilities and roles at a specific location, whether that's a school site, district office, or a county office of education. So it also captures two key pieces of information: the staff member's credentials and their assignments. And this file helps ensure that staff are appropriately placed and credentialed for the roles they're performing. And it's critical for Fall 2 reporting and compliance. So let's go over the key things you will need to know when working with the SASS file. To ensure accurate reporting, you'll need to coordinate again with the human resources and site staff to gather the necessary data. So this includes job classifications, assignments, seeds, and FTE percentages. So again, you would only report staff who have a seed. If a staff member does not have a seed, the generic seed of the 10 nines, 9999, may be used, but only in the CRSC record for courses taught by teachers not employed by the LEA, and never in the SDEM or SAS file. For staff with seeds, you'll report one of the following 5 job classifications. So you'll be reporting administrator, pupil services, teacher, non-certificate charter school teachers, or itinerant teachers. Resources from the Commission of Teacher Credentialing are linked on this slide to help you determine the correct classification. And also, you must report all non-classroom based assignments. These are roles that do not involve direct instruction. Each staff member can have up to 7 assignments per job classification. So a couple of examples are a teacher doing curriculum development that does not involve instruction of students should be reported with a non-classroom based assignment code of 6028, teacher on special assignment. Another example is a certificated employee on temporary leave should be reported with the code 6018, employee on leave, but only if they have no other assignments. So you will find all valid codes in the CALPADS code set and the valid code combination document. So we have resources linked on this slide again, which will help you to know how to report teachers in different assignment scenarios, like special education assignments in a classroom versus non-classroom setting, and a teacher librarian assignments. And additionally, you will need to report administrators and pupil services staff with seeds. Staff FTE percentages as determined locally and the school of assignment. So again, you have to make sure that you're working closely with HR and your site team together, complete and accurate data, and this will help you ensure that you are submitting your Fall 2 data accurately. So this slide shows the SAS record in CALPADS, which is used to report staff assignments for Fall 2. So let's go ahead and break it down to let you know what's included and how to report it correctly. So first up is the staff job classification codes, and this is shown under 1. This code is selected based on the staff member's credentials. So the options include administrator, pupil services, teacher, non-certificated charter school teacher, itinerant teacher, your push in and pull out teachers. In this example, a staff member holds more than one job classification. For example, an admin and a teacher. So you must submit a separate SAS record for each job classification. And you must ensure that the combined FTE does not exceed 200%. So if a teacher is teaching multiple subjects, for example, English and Spanish, you would report one SAS record with a single job classification code and report the FTE for all jobs in that classification. So again, the FTE cannot exceed the 200%. So whether you submit a staff assignment record with a staff job classification code, you will need to submit the job classification FTE percentage shown under number 2. The staff member FTE is reported by job classification and school. So the FTE should be determined by human resources, and you should enter it correctly in your SIS. So the FTE cannot be less than 5 or over 200%. The non-classification based job assignment field shown under number 3 represents the function performed that does not involve instruction of a student based on a staff member's job classification. So this field is required for job classification codes 10 administrator, 11 pupil services, and 25 non-certificated charter school teachers. So remember to use a correct classification, report accurate FTE, and only use the non-classroom based assignment field when the role doesn't involve teaching. So for each staff member reported, LEAs must report the percentage of full-time equivalency spent in each job classification by school. So the total full-time equivalent FTE percentage for all job classifications, again, should not exceed 200% or should not be less than 5%. So for example, a full-time principal, you would report 100% FTE under the classification administrator. A full-time teacher, you would report 100% FTE under the classification teacher. A staff member who splits time 50-50 between teaching and administration, you would report 50% FTE under teacher and 50% under administrator. So again, helpful reports that you can use to verify the information that is being submitted are reports 4.4, the staff profile list, and report 4.5, the staff non-classification based or support assignment details. So now let's talk about teacher assignments. So in this section, we'll talk through common scenarios that LEAs often encounter when reporting teacher assignments in Fall 2. So these examples will help you clarify how to correctly use job classification codes, key percentages, and when to submit multiple SASS records. So scenario number 1 is an itinerant teacher across multiple sites. So let's start with Elizabeth Hoover, shown on this slide, who works full-time but splits her time between multiple school sites. She's classified as an itinerant teacher, which is a job classification code of 27. Since she works at 2 sites, her FTE is 50% at each. You will notice that the non-classroom based assignment code field is blank, and that's because all her work is classroom based. So the key takeaways here is that you must submit a separate SASS record for each site where she teaches. So even though she's one staff member, each location needs its own record to reflect her assignment accurately. So scenario number 2 is a teacher with an extra class period. So again, Elizabeth Hoover is teaching 6 classes at a single school site. So this is one more than the standard 5. So in this case, we use job classification code 12 for a regular teacher. So each class is worth 20% FTE. So 6 classes equals 120% FTE. So again, the non-classroom based assignment job assignment field is blank because all her duties are classroom based. So it's important to note that the FTE over 100% is valid when a teacher takes on additional instructional time. You just have to make sure it's accurately being reflected in your reporting. So now let's go ahead and take a look how to report staff who serve in multiple roles, especially when those roles span over different job classifications. So here in scenario 1 is a principal with teaching duties. In this example, Elizabeth Hoover is a full-time principal, which is reporting using job classification code 10 and a non-classroom based job assignment of 0301. She also teaches part-time. This would be reported separately under job classification code 12 with an FTE of 33%. So even though she's one person, we need 2 SASS records to reflect both roles accurately. Scenario 2 is a support staff with teaching duties. Here we have a staff member working in multiple support roles, a psychologist, social worker, and student support services, all under one job classification. The FTE for these roles is reported as 100%, and it's not split between assignments. That's because the FTE is tied to the job classification and site and not the each specific duties. So this staff member also teaches part-time, so we report a second SASS record under job classification 12 with an FTE of 33%. The teaching assignment must be linked to their seat through a course record. Okay, so now let's talk about another scenario. This is a district level assignment. So the top example on this slide shows a superintendent who is a district level employee and not assigned to a specific school site. So in this case, the school of assignment is the district code, which matches the reporting LEA. While this example is not a charter school administrator, it's important to note that the charter school administrators should also be reported using a non-classroom based assignment code of 0160. So the second example shows a teacher who may work across multiple sites or directly at the district level. So for such cases, the teacher is assigned to the district using the district code in the school of assignment field. It is important to note when a teacher is assigned to the district, their courses should reflect the district as the school course delivery. Students enrolled in those course sections should be reported with the school of attendance set to the district. So here on this slide, this table offers practical guidance for common scenarios LEAs face when reporting staff assignment records for teachers. So I recommend you saving this slide separately and keeping it accessible when submitting SASS records to CALPADS. It will be a valuable reference for you. So here are the key reporting scenarios. So you have a teacher of record. You will always report the professional hired to instruct the course. You will use the staff job classification code of 12, assign the appropriate state course code. The non-classroom based support assignment code is optional. You would only populate this if the teacher also has a non-instructional assignment. Job class code 12, report non-classroom based support assignment code of 6018 employee on leave, and assign the appropriate state course code to the teacher on leave. And also you would report the designated FTE when the FTE percentages when active, when the teacher was active. So you wouldn't report 0 for a teacher on leave. If the teacher was full-time, you would report 100% FTE. So teacher on special assignment, you would use job classification code 12. You would report non-classroom based support assignment, code of 6028, teacher on special assignment, and assign the appropriate state course code. So charter school non-certificated teacher of record, you would use job classification code of 26 and report similar to the standard teacher of record. So substitute teacher, as a teacher of record, you would, and this would be for a no permanent hire, so you would report the substitute present on census day, use job classification code 12, 26, or 27, depending on the situation. And optionally, if you wish to identify teachers as long-term or day-to-day sub, use support assignment code 6014. Substitute teachers, and again, this is optional. And then you would assign the appropriate state course code in the CRSC file. And another scenario is permanently employed substitute teachers not assigned to a course. So you would use job classification code 12, 26, or 27 and report the support assignment code of 6014, a day-to-day substitute permanent employee. For itinerant or push-in, pull-out teachers, you would use job classification code of 27 Assign course code 9103 or 9104 for EL, and use course code 9231 for RSP. SC records are optional for job classification codes of 27. So for college professors not employed by the LEA, you would assign the course using the seed of the 10-9s, and you would not submit a SASS record for these individuals. In teachers not employed by the LEA, so ROPC, distance learning, or third-party teachers, so you would assign the appropriate state course code in the CRSC file. Use either the teacher's valid seed or the seed of the 10-9s. And also please note that using the seed of the 10-9s will trigger a misassignment warning in CALPADS. So this slide highlights additional reporting guidance for special education teachers based on the CALPADS FAQs. So here are the special day class teachers. You would report using the state course code 1000, the self-contained. Use instructional strategy code of 700, special education. If the course is departmentalized, select the appropriate state course code, and so use the instructional strategy of 700. An RSP teacher, team teaching in a mainstream class. Previously, LEAs reported both teachers to a single class, and this is no longer acceptable. So now you must separate the RSP teacher from the mainstream class. So you would report using state course code 9231, special education support, RSP, instructional strategy code 700, special education. If you do not want to report student enrollment in the RSP class, you would use job classification code of 27, and this prevents triggering a CERT 079 of no enrollment for course section records.